Calaroga Shark Media.
Hey there, I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news, a daily briefing on stand-up comedy comedians and the comedy industry a sentence the algorithm loves. Dave Chappelle might possibly, perhaps, bring back Chappelle Show. We'll talk about that. Chappelle did an interview in Ohio the other day, and he said, sometimes people attach things to your voice that don't necessarily have anything to do with you. Your responsibility is to be true to yourself in your work. The media used to talk crap about jokes that I did, and none of that stuff swayed my audience, so I feel like I need to be true to something. Dave was asked about walking away from Chappelle's show many years ago, and would it ever come back? Dave said, if you asked me that question a year ago, I would have told you absolutely not. But in the last few weeks, I'm considering it. Wow, that's massive. Can you imagine? You may recall, it's way back in 2005. Chappelle walked away from a deal with Comedy Central to continue the show. That deal reportedly worth $50 million. Chappelle did not comment on what a Chappelle Show revival would look like or how that would come to be or if it's even real, but at least he's thinking about it. Looking back, Dave said, one of the worst things that can happen to a comedian is becoming successful before they get good, because you miss the part where you get to explore and make mistakes. Dave also said he doesn't think about legacy much, although Chris Rock and he had a conversation about it. Dave said, I'll be like, they're going to write books about us, and those guys will laugh, but they might or they might not. I'm a lucky guy in that respect. I don't know if I'm doing it on purpose, but I dreamt of being a famous comedian. It took me 40 years, but I did it. This is better than I dreamt of. Boy, that would be massive news if that comes back. Rami Youssef's special out on HBO tonight, 9 Eastern. Rami Youssef in Love. Filmed at the Hideout in Chicago, Rami Youssef engages with the audience as he approaches a vast spectrum of personal topics, ranging from his marriage to AI, religion, being a dog parent. He's even got some Riyadh jokes that we heard in the trailer. Looking forward to that one. I like him a lot. I like the show Ramy a lot. Did you watch Trevor Noah's special yet? I will get to that this weekend. Filmed at the Warner Theater in Washington, D.C., Trevor joked about the state of the world, U.S. politics, and social media, including the time that Donald Trump threatened to sue Trevor Noah over an Epstein joke at the Grammys. Trevor Noah said, it's different when you're in the crosshairs. I'm not going to lie, it's pretty crazy. Now, Trevor said while hosting The Daily Show for 7 years, he assumed at some point the president would come after him, and he didn't. Trevor says, then I left The Daily Show and I relaxed like an idiot in a horror movie. The joke that upset the President of the United States was told in February. Trevor Noah joked that the Song of the Year award is a Grammy that every artist wants almost as much as Trump wants Greenland, which makes sense because Epstein's island is gone. He needs a new one to hang out with Bill Clinton. Trevor said he was flying back to Boston. His phone was off. Then he turned his phone back on, and he said, honestly, I thought the thing was malfunctioning because it started vibrating before the icons popped up. Every app was going crazy. iMessage, WhatsApp, Twitter, Instagram, even Uber Eats was like, yo, you got some hot stuff coming in. I went to my messages, and everyone I've ever known in my life had texted me. Everyone, from kindergarten teachers onwards. Trevor pushed back on Trump, saying the host, Trevor Noah, whoever he may be, is almost as bad as Jimmy Kimmel at the Low Ratings Academy Awards. Trevor said, you can't say the host, Trevor Noah, whoever he may be, because that's exactly who I may be. I understand he was trying to dismiss me, but you said my full name and my job title on the night. You can't be dismissive and be vague and specific at the same time. That's not how it works. Whoever he may be, I'd be nobody else. There's no may in this equation. This is exactly who I be. We will circle back to politics in a few minutes. Siddiq caught up with Online Athens, and the Banner Herald said when they look at his stand-up, it doesn't feel like a routine or an act. Were you always a fan of stand-up, or did your style develop naturally? Ali Siddiq said, I watched a lot of comedy growing up, like Carol Burnett, Hee Haw, and MASH. Is he a lot older than I thought he was? How old is he? Those are like shows I watched. He's 52. Wow, I had no idea. Anyway, he watched Carol Burnett, Hee Haw, and MASH. He said the timing of those shows was funny to me. As far as albums, financially, we didn't have a ton, but my dad had a couple, Don Rickles, stuff like that. But my storytelling really comes from my family. In my house, if someone was explaining something, it was always, let me tell you a story you can understand. Stories made things resonate. If you had a story behind what you were saying, it stuck. The Comedy Means Business podcast had on Pete Holmes. Thought this was interesting. Pete said, I look at comedy like a cactus at this point in my career. I try to water it just as little as possible. I'm really trying to dial it in. How can I have as much as a normal life and be with my wife and daughter as much as I can, but still do comedy? I understand that. That sounds like a man who's hit his 40s. Absolutely. Pete Holmes said, I've noticed on one hand, if I don't perform enough, I get irritable. So there is a not enough, and I love my wife so much. We'll be at dinner, and I'll be incapable of tuning the people out that are next to us. I'm neurotic. I'm like, this effing guy. And she's like, Pete, you need to do a set. Pete says the current days are a wonderful time for comedy, but he does have nostalgia for the old ways. He explains, I like the old way because it felt really special. That's the underreported benefit of gatekeepers. Like, I remember when they were like, you could do a Comedy Central Presents. When I'm in New York, I'll sometimes be on the corner and I'll be like, oh my God, this is where it happened. You don't get that feeling posting a TikTok clip. Late Nighter talked about how comedians don't like Byron Allen's comics Unleashed. Doug Stanhope once said, I can't imagine a more cruel or soul-crushing insult to a comedian than you killed it on Byron Allen's comics Unleashed. The whole thing with that show is that episodes can air years after they're taped thanks to a strict avoidance of topical material. Comic Chris Gersbeck tells Late Nighter it's one of those shows that every comedian knows about because a lot of comic peers go on it, but it's also understood it's kind of lame. No disrespect to Byron Allen, the guy has made it his life mission to prop up other comedians, but the whole format just seems ridiculously forced. Roy Wood Jr. complained in 2023 that his episode from 2008 was still in rotation. He said, no one is letting people know that all these episodes are at least 15 years old. No longer true, I will point out. Roy joked, folks going to think we're dressing like this now. Early in the week, the President of the United States posted on social media that Pope Leo is weak on crime and terrible for foreign policy. The President had some other thoughts about the Pope. You can read his social media page. Stephen Colbert chimed in saying, Pope Leo's weak on crime? Yeah, man, he's the Pope. He visits people in jail. That would be cool, though, if the Pope did fight crime. Then we could watch Murder, She Pope. Love it. Jon Stewart said, I'm really starting to sour on this president. What's going through Trump's mind? What did the Pope say? He wants what? Dialogue? Peace? He wants to choose the noblest aspirations of mankind? To show humanity at its greatest articulation? F that loser. This guy's a loser. F that guy. Who died and made him? Oh, I'm sorry. That's who died? A great joke by John Colbert again. According to one Italian religious historian, not even Hitler or Mussolini attacked the Pope so directly and publicly. It's never great when someone says, you should really be more discreet and respectful. You know, like Hitler. Jon Stewart again. And look, President Trump, I know the Vatican has been critical of your policies, but you got to remember, at the end of the day, you and the Catholic Church both historically care deeply about the same thing, covering up sex scandals. I am excited. Next week on Thursday, it is the 2026 Comedy Draft. We have 5 teams. Each team will draft a lineup of 5 comedians. The teams are Team Analytics. They're focused on global appeal and ticket sales. Team Purist, they're just about stand-up credibility, you know, the snobs. Team Chaos is kind of the opposite. They're all about going viral. There's Team Industry. Those are the suits. No passion at all. They're just building a show. And then there's Team Alternative for the alt comedy fans. It is the 2026 Comedy Draft coming on Thursday. Before we get to that, on Monday, we will have the results of Comedy Survivor. Voting is now closed. We had a whole thing last week where people were looking at the count and being like, I got different numbers. And I'm like, I don't know, man. I think the result is crystal clear this week, but it's down to Sarah Silverman and Nikki Glaser Monday at noon. We will find out who won Comedy Survivor. Today is Friday, and I have found the theme music. It is time for Comedy Stock Market.
Comedy Stock Market.
Thank you, Burt Reynolds. Good to have you back. In case you missed it last week, I couldn't find the theme music, but it's back. All right, Comedy Stock Market. Here's what we do every Friday. I take a look at the comedians, and we try and find value. As I explain most weeks, this is not about who's good, who's bad. It's where the value is. Like when you buy stocks and you sell high and you buy low, that's what we're doing here. Let's buy some Dave Chappelle. I mean, if there's even a chance of Chappelle's show returning, we're going to want to scoop up some Chappelle. So let's do that before everybody else notices. Buy Dave Chappelle. Let's also buy Diane Morgan. Now, a lot of you might be like, who's that again? That's Conch. Have you watched the Conch stuff on Netflix? It is hilarious. She's playing the Netflix is a Joke Comedy Festival coming up. I love Diane Morgan. Let's buy some Diane. Also, let's buy some Flight of the Conchords. I mean, if tickets are going for $610, they are sneakily more popular than I even realized. They will also be playing the Netflix is a Joke Comedy Festival, and they're saying they're not going to tour. But I think the buzz is so strong that the allure of $610 tickets is going to be too great, and the Conchords will tour. And I've got one sell for you this week. I've been thinking about it for like 10 days now. We got to sell Nikki Glaser. I know she's got the special, and there's going to be a lot of press, but the press has been bad. I just feel like the mainstream media is like, yeah, Nikki Glaser, she's cool, and the more Nikki speaks, it doesn't help her cause. I feel like we're past peak Nikki Glaser right now, although she could win Comedy Survivor. But that aside, I feel like it's time to sell Nikki Glaser. So those are your recommendations. We'll buy Chappelle, buy Diane Morgan, buy the Conchords, and we will sell Nikki Glaser. That's your comedy stock market for this week. Adam Sandler was at the premiere of the new Netflix comedy Roommates. And what do you know? The new Netflix comedy movie Roommates stars Sadie Sandler. That's right. She's not a Nepo baby. She is one of Hollywood's greatest actresses. And of course, she has a leading role in a Netflix coming-of-age flick. Sadie Sandler plays an incoming college freshman who struggles to adjust to a new life and new friendships in her first semester at school. And how could she not be great in it? Adam Sandler showed up dressed like me. He was wearing a Nike zip-up sweater, beige trousers, and colorful sneakers. Let's see how that compares. Well, actually, no, not today. I'm actually wearing a gray top and some gray sweats and some gray shoes. So I'm not all colorful like usual, and I do have on, which hat is this? I think this is my Detroit Tigers cap that my daughter got me when she visited Detroit. I digress. Now, interestingly enough, Sadie Sandler got the leading role in the movie, which is produced by Happy Madison. Now, if you're not familiar with Happy Madison, that coincidentally is Adam Sandler's production company, and this airs on Netflix. Kevin Hart, never afraid to work. He will be part of Jumanji 3. He was joined by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Jack Black. They were at CinemaCon Vegas. We learned the title of the film is Jumanji Open World. Kevin Hart said, "We're pumped about being back for another Jumanji." Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson tried to thank some of the executives in the audience. Kevin Hart jumped in and said, "You don't have to know these people. It's such Hollywood BS. That's hilarious." The Moon Tower Comedy Festival happening down in Austin. Let's see what's happening tonight. 7:30 at Cap City. It's Yakov Smirnoff. He is still around. 8 o'clock, Catherine Blanford and Friends. Keep an eye on Catherine. It's one of those names you're going to want to know. The friends include Ian Fidance, Jay Jordan, Blair Sochi, and Maggie Winters. Beth Stellings at the Creek of the Cave at 8. Mike Vecchione at Higbee's, also at 8. I love this title, The Canadians of Comedy at Roscoe's. Canadian comedians include Caroline Ray, Ivan Decker, Deborah DiGiovanni, and Hassan Fills. The big headline show at 9:30 is Renee Vaca. Now, I am underfamiliar with Renee. Moon Tower's website tells us Renee Vaca is a 28-year-old stand-up comedian, writer, and actor from the San Fernando Valley in Southern California. His comedic talent and hard work earned him a spot as one of Netflix's introducing comedians for the 2024 Netflix is a Joke Festival, with a substantial social media following over 2.6 million and millions of views across platforms, etc., etc. So apparently Renee Vaca is big enough to get the yellow box on the website, which means you're a headliner. Social media for the win. Doug Benson recording a Doug Loves Movies with Nish Kumar, Jeremiah Watkins, and Beth Stelling. That's at 10 o'clock. That's pretty good. Out today, Blonde Medicine is releasing Kelly McFarland's new album, Hot Gnome. We're told after spending over 2 decades perfecting her craft and losing both her parents in the span of 2 years, Kelly McFarland decided to self-fund her special with the goal of having total control. She said, "Life is too short not to make something for yourself." Oh, people who've already liked my stand-up think, "Damn, this is the best she's ever been." And folks that have never heard of me think, "Damn, where's she been all my life?" On Hot Gnome, Kelly McFarland shares what it's like to be an anxious person while celebrating the freedom and self-acceptance that comes with age. She also shares her thoughts on her husband's eating habits, critiques toothpicks as eating utensils, and admits she does not want to go hiking. Hot Gnome, available through Blonde Medicine. And that is your comedy news for today. Normal episodes all weekend. Meet you back here tomorrow.